Golasso. Welcome to section 1.1 on goals. This first section of this course is going to be a bit touchy-feely. Why is it touchy-feely? Because personal finance is a means to an end. It is not an end in and of itself. Therefore, you need to have other goals. And so in this section, we'll go over setting goals and kind of aligning those objectives and those desires into our lives into a coherent direction. The purpose of personal finance is providing you the tools to reach your goals, providing you specifically the financial tools to reach your goals. And so that automatically leads to the question, what are your goals? Now, you don't have to answer that now, and if you're answering that to a video, the people around you might think you're a little bit crazy. That's okay. No judgment here. But you don't have to have a very specific direction. I mean, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, I guess, at times. But a general direction is required. Otherwise, you're just kind of floundering. And one of my personal beliefs is that if you properly use the techniques within personal finance, it not only helps you achieve your goals, but it puts you in a greater position to be able to help the people that are around you. And I don't mean that strictly in, say, a financial sense, but in terms of being emotionally available and being willing to give time and to be in a position to actually help those directly around you. So I find personal finance to be a very, very important tool in the toolbox, and without it, things can go horribly awry quite easily. Now, a quick moment of full disclosure. Now, I personally believe that the two most important lessons in personal finance can be explained in about 10 seconds, but are very difficult to internalize and actually implement in our lives. And even though most of our class is not focused on this, I want you to remember this and keep that in mind as far as something to work on. The first is life is amazing, and when we are grateful, it's much easier, actually, to follow principles of personal finance and to be happier in our lives. A couple examples that I've heard in the past is that Henry V perhaps would have traded half his kingdom for maybe indoor plumbing, a modern dentist, and antibiotics. And a famous line from Jon Stewart in one of his books is Thomas Jefferson was the president of the United States, and he pooped in a bucket. I've included a link below of a quick clip of an economics video talking about the hockey stick of growth and kind of how amazing life has become today as far as the opportunities that we have. The second is my favorite Saturday Night Live skit of all time about don't spend money you don't have, of spending less than you make. I've also included a link for that below. But another version of this, say a much older version of this, over 100 years version older than this, was from Charles Dickens in the book David Copperfield. Annual income £20, annual expenditure 19 and 6, result happiness. Annual income £20, annual expenditure £20 ought and 6, result misery. Spending less than you make is probably the simplest way, very, very simple way, in order to make personal finance go a lot easier. So those are two key lessons that I just want to communicate at the outset. And I know they seem trite, and I guess they are trite, but they are extremely important as far as how you approach personal finance. So we'll be using a lot of TED Talks in this first section of this class, mostly because TED Talks are pretty fantastic in terms of dealing with and discovering what goals and desires you have in your life. But the first one was with Adam Baker, and the reason why I really like this TED Talk is because you can see someone who has the realization suddenly that personal finance should lead to the goals that he has, to his goals and his wife's goals and his family's goals, and that the minute that he does that, his life dramatically shifts, and they're happier and they're pursuing this new direction in their lives. It's amazing. And so you can see what a difference that one realization, what it causes. As you're going through the video, I wanted you also to consider a few thoughts for discussion. First of all, pay attention to what Adam does value and how that can link back to personal finance. He discussed about what item do we need to something next. It's toward the beginning. He also identified a certain booming industry in the U.S., and the joke that I like to use with people is that the United States has turned into a nation of hoarders, but most of us make enough money to outsource that hoarding to somebody else. Adam makes a few different statements on how Adam challenges the feelings of security and happiness that's associated with the things that he has or the previous financial direction that he had taken in his life. And he made a really good point on the purchasing cycle and how we've broken or changed the purchasing cycle and psychologically the effects that has in our lives.